All right, fight fans, we're back for another episode of Tarps Off MMA. Terry, Jack, and Adam, they're here. We have had an awesome week. You thought the train of UFC 257 was going to stop. No. There's much more going on in the fight world, including a fight with former UFC star Ben Askren taking on Jake Paul. Everybody hates Jake Paul. Everyone was waiting for him to fight a real boxer, a real fighter. This kid always claims he's 2-0, this, that, and the other. He's a money and hype machine. You knew someone was going to come forward. Forward comes Askren. Now, I want to ask you guys before I put my opinion in on it. Is this enough for Jake Paul to get some credit now for being a fighter? Terry, let's start with you.
Yes. And the reason why is because he's actually fighting a fighter. I see Jack rolling his fucking eyes already. He's fighting a fighter. He's not fighting a YouTuber. He's not fighting a basketball player. He's fighting a fighter. He's fighting a guy who, regardless if he's a pure wrestler or not, has been legit preparing to box for the last 15 years. He's been boxing for 15 years, regardless. He's been boxing longer than Jake Paul. He's an improvement to whoever he was fighting. That's all we're asking for. I've always said that Jake Paul, he has skill. You can see it. You can tell that he has a certain skill set. He's not going to be Conor McGregor. He's not going to be Floyd Mayweather. That's the reality. This is a good fight for him because there's the chance that Ben Askren might surprise people with if he just has to worry about his hands. There's a chance.
Jack?
Absolutely not. No one was asking for this fight. I mean, we wanted to see him fight. I even wanted to see him fight an amateur boxer. I want to see him fight someone that actually boxes. Ben Askren is one of the worst strikers in the entire history of MMA. Jake Paul is a coward. He found the loophole. And then he comes out and makes that statement like, no one can say anything now because I'm fighting a real fighter.
Yeah.
You're fighting a grappler in a boxing contest. A grappler in a boxing contest. Coward. Fight an amateur boxer. Fight Dylan Moran. Fight somebody real. Like, you're not a professional boxer. You have 0 professional fights. Stop saying you have two professional fights. You beat a YouTuber and you beat a retired NBA player. You have 0 professional.
2 professional fights. He fought
0.
twice. He fought twice and got paid for them. That's a professional.
Adam?
Well, he did fight and he got paid for them, so he is a professional. Although I'm not liking the fact of him blowing himself up, being 2-0, beating a former basketball player and a YouTuber. However, I do agree with Terry in the sense that I think that this does give him a little bit more stock in the credibility of being, an up-and-coming fighter. Like Terry said, Askren has been boxing for a while. He has fought the likes of Douglas Lima, Koreshkov. He's fought an extremely strong stand-up fighter in Jorge Masvidal, who is now in Miami right now, training with Jake Paul. Highlights are up online that we just saw before. I like the matchup. I think that it's a smart choice. Askren went on the record to actually say that Danis versus Jake Paul was the fight that was going through the mix, and Askren was actually choice number 2. Since Danis couldn't take it due to the knee injury, Askren stepped in. Jack, I totally understand why you think this is all horseshit, because if Jake Paul was humble, if Jake Paul didn't come off as a douchebag and all of these negative things, then it would be something maybe you would be more interested in. However, what we need to understand is that Jake Paul is clearly taking the Floyd Mayweather blueprint, in the sense that we are paying to watch this to see him get knocked the fuck out. So to an extent, the fact that we're getting that reaction and the boys are on here talking about this clearly shows that he is doing something right, unfortunately.
And you're right, Adam. It's like listen, we can talk about his opponents all we want, but everybody has to get somewhere. The kid wants to be a professional boxer. He wants to make millions boxing. He's going to make millions boxing regardless, Jack. So why don't we have people put in there, people in our world, we enjoy watching MMA. If Ben Askren beats the shit out of Jake Paul, we don't have this conversation ever again, Jack. There's always the opportunity that we can shut him up forever, because Ben Askren is considered probably just on top of Roxanne Modafferi as the worst striking of all time. You know what I mean? So
yes,
that's what we're getting at.
And listen, I don't think it's a coincidence that after Buddy couldn't fight him, Danis, you knew he was going to end up somewhere with another professional fighter. It was never going to be Conor. That was just to blow up the interest in whoever he decided to fight. Jake Paul is one thing, boys. He is the marketing genius of the internet. Him and his brother Logan, they're like pioneers of this shit. The fight will be, this fight will probably end up in the top 5-6 boxing pay-per-views all time. They'll find a way to sell it. And it's going to be like, it is what it is. I know it's not the fight we were looking for. He's not looking for a guy that he's going to get his ass kicked by. He pick and chose his spots. I would have rathered him fight Conor McGregor sparring partner. I'm with Jack, like an amateur boxer in Moran, but certainly he's a marketing wizard, this kid. We're all going to buy the fight. We're sitting here talking about it. So like at the end of the day, he is fighting a fighter. It is a step, but like, don't tell me he's not smart enough to pick his spots. Like
what does this say about boxing that this is so big?
Awful.
What does that say about the state of boxing?
Bing, 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 bing. There's the right answer right there. The state of boxing is
you're getting under Adam's skin, Jack, here.
I disagree with that part, and I'll tell you why. The way that I look at this is I look at the Triller Boxing Association or league, whatever you want to call it, and everything else separate entities. I consider Dylan Danis. I consider Jake Paul a white-collar boxer. I don't consider him a professional boxer yet. I still look at this as the spectacle, white-collar boxing stuff, which, unfortunately, as long as hands are being thrown, people are a sucker to pay for. And that's the way that I look at it. I don't look at this as the state of the boxing because we got Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua on the rise. So that does not have anything to do with it. The reason why, Jack, he's not fighting, and I'm not coming at you because, I'm not Jake Paul here fixing my hair. I'm on cocaine in the Porsche. And my hairline is receding and all of that.
I would be if I had 30 million followers.
That's true, but we would do that with 5,000. So what's the difference? But the way that I look at it is that I lost my train of thought after fixing my hair. But the way I look at this is that I just don't see. I lost myself. Go on, boys.
You said you were splitting the Triller and professional fights.
I look at them completely different. I just don't see as the same spectacle. I don't see that we're looking at. I almost look at it as two different sects of boxing.
Okay.
Why don't we just bring back Celebrity Deathmatch on Comedy Central then?
Fucking right then.
I would actually love to see that.
I fuck with that.
No, but you know what? Now they found a way to make you pay the pay-per-view price for it. At least that used to be on cable. Now that this kid's found a way. Listen,
Jack's all over the place, man. He's wearing an Oilers shirt today. He's all over the place.
I know he's got a Bruins thing in the background, Oilers shirt on. He doesn't know if he's going left or he's going right. No idea. It's hilarious. I love it. Speaking of no idea, I have no idea if we will ever see.
I remember now. Let me say it. Sorry.
Get it.
I got to say, the reason why there is no amateur boxer fighting Jake Paul is because it doesn't generate money. It means nothing. They care about seeing him fight a guy like Funky Ben Askren, who got double the amount of views on ESPN MMA versus Jake Paul's video when talking to Helwani. People don't forget.
People love Ben Askren.
Guy. Askren knows how to sell. An amateur boxer who's on the rise, holding gloves in New York State or California or whatever, it makes zero money.
Yeah, it doesn't make any dollars and cents, right? So
I
understand.
The UFC's not even behind this either. They're not doing anything for this.
Nope.
No, this doesn't have anything to do with
Because Dana
that.
wants to see Askren get knocked out. He hates him.
He wants to cut him.
Yeah. He probably wants to see him get knocked right out so we can just be like, all right, get this guy out of here. You embarrassed us. And listen, I'm telling you right now, I'm with Adam. I think it was Adam or maybe Terry said it. I don't remember, boys. My brain cells aren't too good.
We're both smart, so.
But he's skilled. Like he might have only fought 2 fights and whatever, but like he has the skill. He's putting in the work. He trains hard. You don't get to his level where you can just see his in-ring skills without putting in the work. So whatever we think of the kid and whatever, he's putting in the work. Now, what you said about Jorge Masvidal here, let me bring it back to that. Training with Jake Paul to try to embarrass his sport is Colby Covington right? Is this street Judas? Like I don't like that he is helping him. A person from the
Why?
outside of the sport, because he's so fucking disrespectful to actual real fighters before he's even got there. And I know that it's hype and it's whatever. And believe me, I'd rather watch that than Poirier and Conor, to quote Nate Diaz, playing touch butt in the over the hot sauce in the pre-thing fights. Like, I would rather see that. But at the same time, I think like fighters should band together. I mean, Nate Diaz is certainly sick as fuck of hearing about Jake Paul and Logan.
Because Nate Diaz is a real one. That's what.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. And he says he wants Paul next. So we'll see what happens. Maybe he beats Askren and it's Nate Diaz and Jake Paul, not the Conor fight. Who knows where that goes?
The thing is that now all these fights are on the table. Nate Diaz, even Masvidal's on the table. Even fucking Conor McGregor's on the table. They're all on the table.
McGregor's not on the table.
McGregor's on the table more than every single one of them.
No,
it's not going to be in the next year, not in the next 2 years, but I guarantee within the next 5 years, we see Conor McGregor fight one of the Pauls. I will put my left nut on the line.
Only because of the money. Only because of the money, but like not for any other reason. I don't think it's going to be because Paul showed us he's the
it's because of the money. Because what Adam said.
Put your middle nut on the line, you coward. Put the middle nut.
Put your third nut on the line, Terry.
Masvidal has no problem training with Jake Paul, and he doesn't feel that he needs to defend the fight world because at the end of the day, he doesn't like Ben Askren. And he understands what the hype machine that Jake Paul comes behind it. And you know what? On the flip side, guys, we don't necessarily understand what it's like when you have somebody slide through your DMs and, you know, guy probably makes more money and has more followers than Jorge Masvidal. So you have to understand that it is a little bit of a business strategy from Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal has also taken a lot of flack in the last few months supporting the Trump campaign, and he is just riding that bad guy wave continuously. So I got to say that it is a smart move. You actually see that Jorge Masvidal is showing Jake Paul the same type of blitz that he used to finish Darren Till in England. So it's just interesting to see that he is showing his arsenal. That move is not going to happen against Ben Askren. You need to do this move 5,000 times for it to become second nature. That's not really a part of the game. But I just don't see there are no friends in the fight game. And the UFC did sign off on Ben Askren doing this fight because he is retired, but still technically under contract. But you know what? If the UFC really wanted to fuck with Ben Askren, they'd ask for a percentage, just like they took from McGregor when he fought Floyd.
Fucking right they would. And hey, now that just because they haven't yet doesn't mean that Uncle Dana hasn't had the conversations, because
it's already signed. Contract's already signed.
So he can't like, they can't impose, they can't do anything.
Done deal.
Wow. I can't believe that went through like that. Like, I can't believe that even happened.
Well,
and
because they would have to invest money into it, and they don't want to do that. They're at the beginning of the year. They don't have money for extra shit that they can't. They're getting to March. They're trying to cut people's salary. They're trying to get to March and cut everybody. So if Ben Askren goes and gets knocked out is another reason to cut him. And he has a huge salary.
Speaking of knocked out, Terry, did you guys see Gaethje's comments saying that he was glad, like he loved seeing a loudmouth get knocked out, and he called McGregor a piece of shit. He was going off, Gaethje. He said he would roll.
How about?
He said he would roll up Nate Diaz like a blunt and smoke him. I was like, I loved that. I loved Gaethje. I knew Gaethje could talk shit, but like, bro, he put on a clinic the other day.
He's Gaethje.
Dude, I completely agree, man.
Gaethje's top of the line, man. He's a good shit talker. Very good shit talker.
Yeah, he was like the best shit talker outside of the UFC when he was outside of it. So I'm not too surprised.
He's solid, man. Justin Gaethje really reminded me like how what have you done for me lately are we as fight fans? Because as soon as Gaethje got back on the mic in that Brett Okamoto interview, I was like, holy crap. Like, I completely forgot about how entertaining and fun this guy actually is to watch and listen to. And then you go through all the highlights that he's done in the octagon, and you're like, dude, Justin Gaethje is like the total package, man. I mean, he's a solid, he is a up and comer in the sense of taking over that lightweight division by storm.
Yeah, man. And he's got the mouth and he's got the skill to back it up. But I mean, I just couldn't, like you said with that interview, it's like, what have you done for me lately? Like, I couldn't believe how much everything he was saying like drew me in. It's like when McGregor was talking shit, like he really has a way to draw people in, and I hope he continues to grow as a fighter. And I hope when the belt comes back into fruition, he gets it around his waist, because he was fucking awesome, man. He's hilarious. He's very smart. Showed a lot of respect for Chandler after what he did, and I just thought that was a great interview. People should definitely check it out.
Well, Gaethje just has that vibe that he's like one of us. He feels like the everyday fan. He just feels like a regular guy. So it's so much easier to get behind him and support him, because You
felt
imagine
like
that's what you would be like if you were like in that.
Yeah. That's what it was like. It was like listening to one of you guys. It was like what it must be like for guys with their white and blue belts when they talk to Terry about his brown belt. Like I felt like that drawn in. I was like, wow, love Justin.
Don't make me go
Gaethje.
get my fucking brown belt and show you.
I can't believe you don't have it on. I think you should be forced.
I honestly,
to wear it.
I as I sat down, I thought about it. And next week, I'm gonna put
You
my
just
whole
tie it right around the head.
No, I'm gonna put my entire gi on. I'm gonna put the whole.
I
thing.
need the gi. I need to see the gi.
I'll wear the whole thing.
I thought you were wearing the brown belt, man, but it's your flow.
Yeah.
Whatever's dangling there.
I love that flow. Look at that hair. Everybody, it's like we're in a pandemic and the barbershops are closed.
It's the Greek god hair.
It is the Greek god hair. It is. Speaking of gods, GSP went on Michael Bisping's podcast, and that was awesome. We learned a whole shit ton that I don't think fans knew before. Maybe some did, but I mean, to bring it into the mainstream like that was awesome. You heard GSP talk about how Khabib and GSP wanted that fight before, and they went to Dana and them and were like, yo, we're going to do this. And you got to look inside of how that happens because the UFC's like, nah, we got other plans for that. And now tell me Dana White wouldn't fucking give anything to make that fight happen. But for 39 years old, GSP walking around right now at a $185. He's not going down to 155. He don't even want to go down to 170. Not at 39 years old.
Did he say he was? Did he say he weighed 185?
Yeah.
He said he weighed 183 right now, I think.
Because I would have believed that. I would have believed that he weighs about 170 after seeing him. He looks the smallest I've ever seen him.
I agree. I was watching that video and I think maybe it was the fishbowl lens or whatever it was, but the way I perceived him is that he actually looked a lot lighter. So when he denied 155, etc., and then went on to say he weighed 183, I was like, the muscle mass doesn't necessarily seem to be there. I don't know if it's the camera angle or it's the new do. I don't really know what it is, but there is.
How about the new do too? Speaking of hair, like GSP with hair was a bit strange to see too, but I liked it. I thought you know what, for 39 years old, man, that guy looks like a fucking $1,000,000. I didn't think he was 185 either. I was like, why won't he go down to fight him? And then he said that, and he's like, Khabib walks at this. So he didn't shut the door. He just said the conditions would have to be, well,
why not a catch weight at 165 or something?
Why not no? But even George was like, why not a catch weight at? Let's just do it at 180 or 183, where we're at 185, where we're walking around at.
Yeah, it's not like Khabib or GSP are over 6 feet. Like they're both like Khabib is like 5'9" and GSP is like 5'10", 5'11".
No, and they tried to even propose like a submission thing with them in a grappling tournament, and that's not beneficial to GSP at all. I couldn't believe when they were asking him that. It's like GSP has always used that fucking like people forget his striking is unbelievable. His boxing is unbelievable. And instead of using the boxing to set up knockouts, he used to use it to close the distance and get those takedowns. So in a pure wrestling match with Khabib, and I think he has no reason to do that. That doesn't benefit him at all. He's at a disadvantage.
No, George St. Pierre is one of the guys in mixed martial arts that started with boxing with boxers and wrestling with wrestlers and doing jujitsu with jujitsu practitioners and karate with, karate people. And like, I think that in itself has really shown how well-rounded he is in his skills. And I really liked how he said, hey, you know what? A straight up wrestling match with me and Khabib actually doesn't maybe necessarily favor me because I believe my blitz karate and how I close his distance is actually what's helped me the most with my wrestling. Yes. And that was interesting because back in the day when GSP was winning like Canadian Athlete of the Year, man, we were hoping like, dude, maybe this guy's going to try out for the Olympics or something. And, that didn't end up panning out. And I just, at 39 years old, I'd like to put the conversation to rest in terms of what's next for him, because I really don't see anything happening.
Why would he? You've already avenged all your losses. He has 2 losses in his career, came back, smacked those guys out right after.
A payday of $5-10 million though fighting Khabib. I don't think.
And that's it. That's the only thing, right? If it makes dollars and cents and it doesn't put him in a position where he thinks he's going to ruin his legacy, which going down and fighting Khabib at 155 certainly would. Adam, I saw the hand go up there. I like how we've mastered this week, boys. I'm liking it.
You want to know what makes dollars and cents, boys? Jack, keep your hat on, man. Keep your hat on. It's gonna be okay.
What's that?
GSP versus Nick Diaz in a boxing match.
Oh, that's actually
I like that. I like
fucking sells.
I love that.
But
that sells.
It's 2 guys that never mentioned boxing. So it's like, why are they just doing this now?
What?
Never mentioned it to each other.
Oh.
Like Nick Diaz never's like, I'll box George. Like Nick Diaz, yeah, he's a boxer. He's
Well, he did in a way call him a little bitch for always wanting to take him down. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just in an MMA setting, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I would love to see that too. Now
I'd
that
see it. With
George
casuals.
has no reason to do anything like that. Like, it's Khabib or bust for him. And he said that too. They're like, is there one thing? And he's like, it would have to be Khabib. Like, it would have to be.
Yeah.
Things aren't the same as a couple of years ago. I was waiting for him to maybe be like, maybe I fight Conor McGregor. Like, I thought, just to try to get the money, but GSP is not even interested in that. And Jack and I were having a conversation, and I want to bring this up. Is Nate Diaz a bigger name right now and a bigger fight for people in the fighting world to get him off the couch than to see another Conor McGregor fight?
The thing about Nate Diaz, what he does wrong is that he does the Dylan Danis thing where he just starts yelling at everybody and he doesn't do anything about it. He's like, he gives Gaethje shit or people shit for talking shit and not fighting. The guy hasn't fought in fucking 4 years.
He hasn't fought since 2019, right? He fought his last fight.
He fought Masvidal, and what we saw what happened. But before that, he hadn't fight. Oh, well, did he have a fight before? Oh yeah, he beat Anthony Pettis.
They're all on steroids.
They're all on steroids. That's why he's not fighting. He's not fighting. But I answer my question though: is he a bigger draw right now for fight fans to get out off the couch than to see another Conor McGregor fight? I feel like Nate Diaz is maybe more popular right now than McGregor. Like, does it not feel like that?
I say so in a one-off. I think right now, for the next fight, he's more popular. He's never going to be more popular ever again, but people just haven't seen him in a while, and they want him back. So he's just bigger for this one fight. But yes, right now,
that's a good point. But Conor, Conor's engine behind him is way too big. Like, even if Conor, like, Conor's not saying anything yet, so we're saying this now. But as soon as he opens his mouth again, and he challenges Gaethje or he challenges Diaz again or whoever, it's Conor McGregor's show again. It's always going to be his show. He's always going to have. He has the 5 top cards of all time.
Yeah.
It's Dana's show.
It's Dana's show, yeah. But just to say is that Nate Diaz was never Nate Diaz until he fought Conor. You know what I mean?
Fair. I don't know about that, because I think the only reason Conor fought him is because he had mad respect for him.
I've said this before. I'm a Diaz guy first before I'm even considering to be a Conor guy. Nate Diaz was not a draw like Conor McGregor was, until he fought Conor McGregor. He wasn't a draw.
Terry's not wrong, because if we look at the metrics when he fought Benson Henderson, I believe the event did under $500K.
He made $20,000. He was his contract was 2020 at first before he fought Benson Henderson.
It's hard for me to say because I just would never ever miss a Diaz fight.
No, it's impossible. You can't miss it. My question is though, if Nate Diaz does end up boxing Jake Paul, how's he gonna slap him with boxing gloves on? That's what I want to see. I want to see someone get a Stockton slap and some big old fucking gloves. Like, that would just look so funny. Like, picture it with the bigger gloves on.
Well, that's what this whole delusion is about with Deontay Wilder. How Tyson Fury was able to slap him around with the green gloves.
I love Tyson Fury. I love Tyson Fury. That's my guy. I know Jack doesn't like him at all. It's because he's an idiot. Tyson Fury is the fucking best. And
hold on. How is this?
And Anthony Joshua is getting dropped. I don't care what sport we're talking about. Anthony Joshua is getting dropped. He's getting dropped by the.
How do you not like Tyson Fury?
I went to the University of Alabama. I'm a Wilder guy. Roll Tide. Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
So you're the guy who doesn't like the guy who beat your guy, which is stupid.
He's the best, dude. Tyson Fury is honestly one of my favorite fighters of all time.
You know where you are? You know where you are? You're a classic Conor McGregor fan, where you don't like Khabib because Khabib beat Conor.
No, I don't have a problem with Khabib, really. I like to get it going. But no,
it's not like Wilder lost like a close fight here. You know,
he got his ass beat.
Well, he won the first one though.
Wilder lost the first one, you mean?
No, because Fury got like a 30 count while he was on the mat.
Oh, fuck off.
Wilder won the first one.
Oh, because that was the 11th round. It was the 11th round he knocked him down. The 11th round, and he lost that round.
And usually you get, like, what is it, 11 seconds to get back up?
10.
He gave him, or 10. Yeah, he gave him 35.
Like, yeah, 35 seconds.
What the fuck is
up
with that?
That makes sense.
That's what happened. Yeah, you know, they counted right to 35. That's not on video everywhere.
It's like in wrestling.
They basically did. It was like 1.
No, that's not the problem. Wasn't that?
2. Come on, Tyson, you can do it. 3.
Yeah, but dude, they always count slow. They're not going 1, 2, 3.
Let's talk to Adam. Adam's the boxer here. Okay.
Okay, so you're telling me that it was a slow 10 count. Are you the same? Are you the same guy in the 7th round? You looked at like one of your buddies and you're like, "It's the walkout mask. Shouldn't have worn it." It was about like 100 pounds. I could tell by my eyes. From
Oh, yeah,
No, I
He's
thought
heavy.
that was bullshit when he came out and said that the next day. Oh, it was the walkout attire. It was too heavy. I was tired going in. It's a 30-second walk to the ring. No, I'm not.
That's the world's greatest excuse. It is. It's the world's greatest excuse. I love the trash talk. Speaking of trash talk, you guys said Danis always yells and everything. Speaking of Bisping, I feel like we keep talking about Bisping. I like him. Did you see him blast him on Twitter? Oh my God. He told him to go and shine Conor McGregor's shoes. And then someone came back and he's like, go grab your fucking shine box. Like, Goodfellas. I was in stitches, bro. Exactly, Dylan Danis. Go shine Conor McGregor's shoes. You talk about
I'm a
two
Dylan
fights
guy.
in 3 years, that guy. Two fights
I'm a
in 3 years.
bigger Bisping guy than I am a Dylan Danis.
Oh yeah, me too.
He fought two guys with like 2-5 records. One guy was like a Target. Like,
I think he worked at Target with
IT
Germano.
guy. Yeah, he works with Germano over at Target. Like Dylan Danis literally hasn't he's beaten as many people as Jake Paul has. 0.
Dylan Danis is a good fighter. He just hasn't. The thing is about Dylan Danis' problem is that he doesn't call people out in his own organization. He's never
Dylan
done
Danis' problem is that he can't.
He's chasing a payday.
He's chasing a payday. He wants to get to the title fight before he can. He wants Bellator to be like, okay, this guy has too much of a following.
If he actually fites anybody, Terry.
That's not true. He's a good fighter. But the thing is that
he's a good grappler.
We don't know how good of a fighter he is. How many grapplers have you seen that went undefeated until they lost in the championship fight? It happens all the time. You know what I mean? He's a good fighter. We can't say he's not a good fighter yet.
We can't say he is either.
I'm not saying he's a fucking champion either. I'm saying is that he's calling people out in the wrong organization, and he's trying to get his name so big that Scott Coker has no choice but to say, "Okay, Dylan, you're gonna fight Douglas Lima, or you're gonna fight the Venom Page, or you're gonna fight a big guy in the welterweight division over there."
Please put him in there against Venom Page.
Venom Page would smack him.
What I find interesting is that before Dylan Danis got into MMA, he did have a rival on the jiu-jitsu scene, and that guy's name is Gary Tonin. Okay. Gary Tonin is in one championship right now. He's probably about 6 or 7-0, and he's also finished guys with his hands. Yeah. It's just very, very clear that Dylan Danis is taking that like Jake Paul-esque trajectory to make money and make a name for himself versus a guy like Gary Tonin who signed with one championship and just built it up from the ground up and is letting his skill set speak for itself. And I just feel that in the long run, that pays off so much higher dividends than what Dylan Danis is doing. What Dylan Danis is doing is helping with 1, 2, maybe 3 paychecks, depending on if he loses the first 2. Whereas Gary Tonin is building that momentum and that rhythm constantly. And I just feel that this knee injury and sucking off Conor in the background and like, DM me if you think I should box, or DM me if you think I should join the U.S. bobsledding team. It's like, dude, DM me when you'll shut the fuck up and you'll get in the ring and do something already.
Yeah, get in the octagon and fucking fight first. That's what I want to see.
And speaking of one, why don't we go to the main event of this podcast?
That's what I was talking about.
Yep, the greatest flyweight of all time. That
April 7th card that they announced looks fucking awesome. You got Demetrius Johnson taking on Adriano Morales. Is that how you say him?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that is going to be a fucking awesome fight. I love Demetrius Johnson.
He's the greatest flyweight in MMA history. UFC, WEC, any Bellator, any organization won. He's the greatest flyweight of all time. It's always going to be exciting when he gets into the circle in this case. Yeah. But this is a tough matchup though. This guy that he's fighting is a submission artist. He's got 18 wins, 9 of them are by submission. He has lost some decisions here and there, but like if it goes to the ground, he does have the tools to possibly beat Mighty Mouse, and it's going to be a really good fight.
And then you have Eddie Alvarez fighting Lurie Lapisis. Is that how you say it? I know he's from like, where's he from? He's from like fucking.
I think he's from Singapore.
Like Singapore or something like that. So I can't say his name, but he is deadly. From what I saw from him, I was watching some of his stuff on YouTube, which I mean isn't enough, but I don't know a ton about the guy. Are you worried for Eddie Alvarez? After like he probably has like a compromised chin now. No, hasn't he taken some bad knockouts?
Yeah, I think this is one of those fights where you have a young fighter who just fought for the title. He lost. It was his first career loss. He's now 14-1, and you give him a big name that you know he can easily win. And I feel bad for Eddie Alvarez. He's like the lamb to slaughter going into this one. I would assume he'll be a massive, massive underdog. I mean, if you look at Lupicus's record, I believe he has a 92% finish rate.
Yeah.
He's only gone out of the first round one time.
Yeah.
Wow.
In 15 fights, he has a 92% finish rate.
Yeah. The longest he's ever gone is the third round. So
I think that going back to the Mighty Mouse fight, I mean, first of all, I mean, we are forgetting that Mighty Mouse is the guy that pulled out that phenomenal flying armbar against Kyoji Horiguchi, who, is also a fantastic fighter and is making a claim for himself in Rizin. But going back to Eddie Alvarez, I think that, one championship is almost perhaps looking at Eddie Alvarez to maybe make an example of him, that the premier MMA league is actually one championship and is on the east side of the world versus the west. We've seen that in the past where when guys go to different promos, they fucking throw them to the wolves, because another guy who's fighting on that same card is Timothy Nastyukhin, who destroyed Eddie Alvarez in his debut. And that guy is a real force to be reckoned with in the one championship promo.
he's ripped.
It's beautiful to have like 3 awesome promotions of mixed martial arts going on at one time. Like you got the UFC, you got Bellator, and now one championship is awesome. Their fighters have more followers than the fighters do in the UFC. It's bigger. It's big. Their social media reach, media reach compared to like UFC's marketing is bigger in one championship than
It's huge
UFC.
over there, and that's why Weili Zhang, like, she's looked at as one of the best, but they're like, there's other girls over here that can probably smack Weili Zhang. Like
Which is crazy, man. And like,
people talk about that. There's this one Indian girl. She's a wrestler. She's unbelievable. I always forget her name. I honestly, I'll have to find it. But she's a wrestler. Yeah, I'll find her. She's like 3-0, but she's like Khabib. They call her Indian Khabib. She's unbelievable. Wow.
They call her the Indian Khabib?
Yeah.
The Indian Khabib.
I'll find her. I'll send it in. I'll get it right now.
That's hilarious. So they announced, just wanted to get this out before we end up cutting off here and letting Terry get back to work. They announced a pretty awesome card for UFC 259. Did you guys see that? Did you see the 3 matchups?
Oh, yeah.
Let's hear
You got Adesanya versus Chimaev. You got Reyes taking on Edwards, and then Nunez fights too, right?
Yeah, wasn't there another big fight on there as well?
No, it's Adesanya versus
Blachowicz. Sorry, Blachowicz.
Yeah, okay,
Adesanya, Blachowicz. It's Nunez versus Megan Anderson, and it's Peter Yan taking on Sterling. Armand Sterling. So like those are the 3 big fights.
Love them.
Yeah.
That's a crazy good card.
It's a nuts card.
That's an insane card. Like
3
that's like
title fights.
Yeah, that's like an anniversary when it's like UFC 200 or UFC 100 kind of card, and we're getting it on 259. That's sick.
Like we'll be fight drunk at like 1:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah, that's one of those where the post game's going to go into like 2-3 o'clock, like the Conor fight did for us there, boys. But Terry, we'll let you get back to work. Jake Paul, Ben Askren, they're ready to rock and roll. Masvidal's training Paul. Kind of makes me hope Colby Covington smacks him, to be completely honest, but I'm going for Askren, even though Colby Covington calls him ass cream. I think that's disrespectful. I like Askren. It is a funny chirp though. Guys, follow us on Twitter at Tarps Off MMA, tarpsoffsports.com, hotsaucesports.ca. And I don't think I got any other promos to do. Be good to one another and enjoy the fucking fights.
Bang.